An artist of the floating world. Essay questions and answers. The pursuit of success may force us to walk away from our mentor's influence. Write an essay to support this statement citing illustrations from Kazuo Ishijiro's An Artist of the Floating World. In our attempt to achieve success, we may disagree with those who guide us. This can be seen in the relationship between a student and a teacher, or a child and a father. Sometimes people develop their own views that are different from those of their mentors in a fervent attempt to be successful at what they do. Meisuji Ono walks away from his father and his teacher's influences and curves his own path as an influential painter. In his pursuit of success, Ono is forced to walk away from his father's influence. Ono's father had a strong influence on him as a child. First, he influenced him to revere the reception room. Because of this influence, Ono also restricts his own children from carelessly entering the reception room too. Contact 072-646-8915 or visit my YouTube, Online Solution TV. Maintain its solemn atmosphere. Growing up, Ono was forbidden from entering the reception room until he was 12. This restriction by his father inadvertently gives Ono an artist's eye. At the age of 12, Ono's father makes him attend business meetings once every week. The meetings are our solemn affair, with Ono's father trying to mentor him into the world of business, using jargon and lengthy calculations that Ono finds difficult to comprehend. His tone was measured and grave. He had a business box with small, fat notebooks filled with densely packed figures. A fearful Ono dreaded the meetings. His father was preparing him to inherit the family business. At 15, Ono's father endeavors to dissuade him from pursuing a career as an artist. He acknowledges that Ono is a skillful artist but adds that his mother must be mistaken for thinking that Ono wished to take up painting as a profession. His father is worried that Ono was growing up to be slothful. As his parents, they had to combat his laziness and dislike for useful work. Otherwise, he would grow up to be a good-for-nothing. Ono's father does not want him to be an artist, most of whom live in squalor and poverty, are weak-willed and depraved. He wants to protect him and raise him to be someone they could be proud of. He goes ahead and burns Ono's paintings. This, however, kindles Ono's ambitions. The meetings disgusted Ono. He abhorred counting loose change and fingering coins. Later, Ono moves away from his home and starts living and working as an artist in Furukawa district. He works as a painter in Master Takita's firm. Ono becomes a successful and acclaimed artist. He is one of Master Takita's best students. He wins many awards, the most remarkable one being the Shigenta Foundation Award in May of 1938. Many people including his colleagues and a chief of police congratulate him and pay him respect. He had overcome the doubts and his hard work had been worthwhile. This gives him a deep sense of satisfaction and triumph, for even after disregarding his father's advice and influence, he achieves success. P 42-51, 232-235. Ono decides to walk away from Master Takita's firm because of his ambition. To avoid losing their commission to other firms, Master Takita's firm prided itself on its ability to provide a high number of paintings at very short notice. They had to work long hours and even late into the night in order to be within schedule. They would only get 2 or 3 hours of sleep, but they never failed to complete a commission on time thanks to Master Takita's influence. One of Master Takita's pupil, Yasunari Nakahara, was given the name the Tortoise because of his notoriety of working slowly, that's having no productivity. Many countless times. They One of Master Takita's pupil Yasunari Nakahara, was given the name the tortoise because of his notoriety of working slowly that's having no productivity. Many of his fellow students. Contact 072-646-8915 or visit my YouTube, Online Solution TV. Taunted him because of his low speed and they even accused him of laziness. Ono was forced to come to his defense countless times. The tortoise felt eternally indebted to Ono. Master Takita had created a climate where students had to battle against time. They would paint geishas, cherry trees, swimming carps, temples etc. They were shipped to foreigners who fancied things that looked Japanese. Despite this, Ono prides himself as one who had the ability to think and judge for himself and go against the sway of those around him, for example by being the only one who defended tortoise. Because of Ono's serious ambition, he decides to leave Master Takita. A painter and printmaker named Seiji Moriyama was impressed with his work and had invited him to be his pupil. According to Moriyama, Ono's stay at Master Takita's firm would cause irreparable harm to his gifts. Ono rejects Takita's authority where pupils have to toil like workhorses. He tells all this to the tortoise one rare afternoon when he gets some free time out of the usually frantic schedule at Master Takita's. He opines that Master Takita does not deserve their loyalty, since loyalty has to be earned. He resolves to walk away from Takita's firm and even convinces the tortoise to go with him. Ono goes on to become Moriyama's most accomplished student. Moriyama spends years nurturing his talent. Ono spends 7 years at Moriyama's villa and forms a bond of brotherhood with the other 9 pupils. Those were the happiest and most valuable years of his life. Despite leaving Master Takita's firm, Ono excels and thrives at Moriyama's villa. P153, 171, 181 to 188, 200 to 208, 233 to 235. Thirdly, despite being the most accomplished student at the time, Ono decides to leave Mori-san's villa after a clash in ideologies. When Ono joins Mori-san villa, he is immensely influenced by his new teacher. He ends up acquiring some of his teacher's mannerisms, including whole phrases and expressions. Even though they end up disagreeing, Ono remains grateful for what he learned under Mori-san. Despite his teacher's apparent shortcomings, Ono remains grateful since his impact was crucial to his career, having spent 7 years at the villa. Mori-san's 10 pupils practically worshipped him. They would debate passionately about their teacher's work while the teacher remained aloof to the approbation. So strong was his influence that any painting that seemed disloyal was abandoned or burned altogether. When Mori-san's leading pupil Sasaki developed divergent views from his teachers, he was faced with unprecedented hostility and was forced to leave the villa. He was considered a traitor and the invocation of his name, even in jest, was considered unacceptable. Mori-san's pupils had fierce and total. Contact 072-646-8915 or visit my YouTube, Online Solution TV. Devotion to him and his principles. He influenced his students to live in accordance with his values and lifestyle, thus they would endlessly explore the city's floating world, that is the world of entertainment and drinking. Later, Ono goes against Mori-san's ideology of capturing the transitory, illusory beauty of the floating world. Despite this, Ono inherits many phrases and expressions from his mentor. Nonetheless, he decides to walk away from his mentor's influence to try some new approaches. He calls this new approach work of real importance that would, later, Ono goes against Mori-san's ideology of capturing the transitory, illusory beauty of the floating world. Despite this, Ono inherits many phrases and expressions from his mentor. Nonetheless, he decides to walk away from his mentor's influence to try some new approaches. He calls this new approach work of real importance that would have a significant contribution to the people of his nation. His painting complacency goes against Mori-san's principles, so much so that his greatest admirer, the tortoise, calls him a traitor. This shift represented a blatant disregard for Mori-san's priorities. Because of this, Ono is treated with hostility by the other pupils and his paintings are seized by the teacher. Eventually, Ono is forced to leave Morrison altogether. He declares that he cannot forever remain an artist of the floating world. In the long run, he turns out to be successful in his endeavor and wins many awards, the highlight being the Shigenta Foundation Award. Indeed, in our quest for success, we may be forced to abandon our mentor's fundamental teachings. P 153-171, 181 to 188, 200 to 208, 233 to 235. Shintaro disagrees with his teacher Ono over the China crisis posters, causing a rift between them. Shintaro was Ono's student and his great admirer. He held Ono in high esteem ever since he helped his brother Yoisho get a job. He speaks highly of Sensei when Mrs. Kawakami complains that her relative could not find a job. Shintaro offers that Ono could help. Ono and Shintaro had grown to be close friends, and sometimes they would be the only customer sitting at Mrs. Kawakami's enjoying nostalgic new things, like discussing someone from their past. Despite their close ties and Shintaro's admiration of his teacher, they eventually fall out. Shintaro had chosen a different path from his teachers that went against the teacher's advice. No, Shintaro asks Ono to write to the appointment committee of Higashimaki High School. Shintaro wanted postcard to write to the committee to confirm certain statements he had made in the past. Ono had compelled Shintaro to take part in the China crisis posters despite having misgivings. The disagreement played out during Mr. Ogawa's engagement at Hamabara Hotel. Shintaro acknowledges that he learned a lot under Ono's supervision, but he did not always concur with his mentor's view. He begs Ono to write to the committee concerning this, but Ono declines and asks him to face up to his past. This disagreement causes Shintaro to walk away from Ono's influence, and in the end they don't even see eye to eye. It is true to say that while contact 072-646-8915 or visit my YouTube, Online Solution TV. Chasing our ambitions, we may walk away from our mentor's influence. P16-21, 84, 112 to 118, 235. Lastly, in his pursuit for success, Kyoda decides to go against Ono's influence, and this causes an irreparable damage to their bond that was once so close. Kyoda was one of Ono's first-rank pupils and close friends. They used to drink together at the Miji Hidari. Kyoda held Ono in high regard. Together with others like Murasaki and Tanake, he was proud to be Ono's pupil. Ono always encouraged these pupils to look up to teachers, but also told them that it was important to question their authority and rise above the sway of things. He cautioned them against following the crowd blindly. Ono considers Kyoda one of his most gifted students and even has one of his paintings, The Patriotic Spirit, somewhere in his house. When they disagree on some fundamental issues about painting and patriotism, Kyoda is arrested following Ono's advice to the Committee of Unpatriotic Activities. Although Kyoda was Ono's best student, Although Kyoda was Ono's best student, he decides to follow a different path, and this leads to a fallout between them. Mr. Kyoda was arrested, some of his paintings were burned, and his mother was cross-examined by the police. He was also beaten and called a traitor. Although these cause bad blood between him and Ono, it does not stop Kyoda from achieving success. After his release, Kyoda fares well. He has strong credentials and does not have trouble finding work. He gets a post as an art teacher at Yomaki College. Clearly, sometimes students choose to follow a different path from their teacher's influence while on pursuit of success. P2223, 82-83, 84, 87, 100, and 22-129, 201, 201-212. In conclusion, many people look up to their mentors or advisors. However, sometimes individuals rise above the sway of things and decide to follow their own path that may go against their teacher's influence while on the pursuit of success.